Hello everyone, welcome back to Munch and Money. We're going to get straight into it today. I'm going to give you 7 books that have really helped me, both financially in terms of my personal development. Books are super important because the amount of books that you read, you never met these people, they come from completely different backgrounds, but instead of you dedicating your life and learning these lessons, you can just take what they have done and read in a couple of hours and then absorb those lessons and implement that into your own life. And I think that is super valuable, and I firmly believe that reading, although it might be a bit boring at times, and there's so much stuff that we can do in our free time now to give us dopamine and all that, it's probably the highest return on investment activity that you can do. So I would firmly recommend checking out these books. We're going to start with 2 books which I think would be in most people's 7 but aren't going to be in mine, and it's not because they're bad books. I think it's just because they're a little bit overrated, or maybe there's other books that do the same thing or but better. So the first one is going to be James Clear's Atomic Habits. Now, this is number 1 in a lot of people's list, but for me, I read it, and other than it saying do good shit every single day, build your habits and enforce it, that was about it. And I think everybody knows that that's kind of common sense. So for me, this doesn't sit outside my top 7. This goes into the more kind of casual read category. Wasn't a massive fan of it. Not to say it's not a bad book, it's considered a classic, but for me, overrated. Next up is going to be The Chimp Paradox. And again, similar to Atomic Habits, not a bad book. I just think that our number 7 on the list takes this exact same concept and does it 10 times better. That said, let's get into the top 7 books. First up at number 7, we're straight in with Daniel Kahneman's Thinking Fast and Slow. Man won a Nobel Prize for this book, so, Joel on YouTube probably can't give it any more credit than that. But the essence of this book is about how we have 2 different minds. So we have a System 1 and a System 2. So our System 1 is that kind of impulsive, emotional, kind of very reactive brain. And our System 2 is our logical, our thoughtful, our kind of more compassionate side that can rationalise things. And this is just a perfect book in terms of finances. So when the market's on a down day, we want to use our System 1 brain to just sell and panic and be emotional. Whereas in reality, we should be using our System 2 brain, which is things just got a lot cheaper. Maybe I can redo my budget and I can actually optimise this over the next year or so. And it comes down to everything, not just finances, emotions. When people piss us off and we get angry, how do we react? It's just a really, really good book in terms of psychology and finances. And I would actually recommend this to absolutely anyone. It's quite a dense read. It will take you a while to get through. And even if you just select certain chapters and read those, I think it's a super beneficial book, and it's straight in at number 7. Next on the list is a bit of a more generic one, but this should be in everyone's list. I don't care who you are, you will benefit from this book, and it's How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Now, Dale Carnegie's one of my favourite authors. He has some amazing books on anxiety and social pressures, which are also free to check out. But his magnum opus, for me, is How to Win Friends and Influence People. This book is all about how you need to construct yourself in social situations, how you need to remember people's name, and how ultimately you are going to be as good as the people that are around you. So you should build yourself up and build others up to benefit not only yourself but also other people as well. Super good book. I would recommend it for absolutely anyone, especially people that are involved in management at work or run their own business. This is an absolutely key book to develop your social skills and become kind of sharper linguistically. It is fantastic. Must read. Get it read. That position's 5 and 4. We actually have a 2-way tie here because I think these books complement each other really well, albeit approaching things from slightly different angles. So we've got Andrew Craig's How to Own the World and J.L. Collins' A Simple Path to Wealth. Both of these books are more focused on stock market and how to invest, so you can see that Thinking Fast and Slow sharpened our mind. How to Win Friends and Influence People, we've honed our social skills. Now we can look at our investment strategy. Both of these just encourage quite a simple way to invest, as J.L. Collins' title, The Simple Path to Wealth, and Andrew Craig's quite general statement, How to Own the World, would imply. You just want to be buying a general basket of goods and doing that consistently over a long period of time. Andrew Craig's strategy is a little bit more sophisticated, let's say, So where J.L. Collins advocates for just buying an index fund, Andrew Craig will say, well, there's different ways to own different things at different times. So I would say that Andrew Craig's How to Own the World is a bit more of a sophisticated read, but both of them come across with the same general narrative, which is you need to be investing consistently and in a broad range of global assets in order to create true wealth. Both of them are really good, both quite simple as well. There's nothing too complex here. If you want to read something, by like Benjamin Graham or anything like that, it's going to be 10 times more difficult than these. I think these are great entry-level books. They get all the concepts across, and both of them are worth reading. Next up, we needed something on resilience and fortitude, didn't we? There's no point being rich if you're a wet lettuce or a melt. So straight in, we've got Dave Goggins with Can't Hurt Me. A bit of a controversial book because these days Dave Goggins is a bit more of a meme online than he is, a personal development or somebody that gives people advice. But honestly, this is the best book I've ever read on resilience and just structuring yourself in a way that's kind of unstoppable in terms of motivation, delivery and success. Dave Goggins, just goes to show that you can be a fat mess doing nothing, earning minimum wage, and in a few years you can go from being that to being the hardest person working in the Navy SEALs and then becoming a millionaire through being an author and being an influencer, whatever it is. Brilliant book. I would firmly recommend it for anybody that wants to kind of master the mind, body, and defy the odds, which is the generic statement that he goes with. But really, really good. Difficult read at times. He does swear quite a bit, and he is quite unapologetic. But really good book. I'd recommend it for anyone. Over the age of like 13 or something. Great book. Read it. Next on our list is definitely a more difficult read. This is more for kind of for the advanced reader. It touches on a lot of different topics, but it's Fooled by Randomness by Nassim Taleb. Nassim Taleb is one of my favourite authors. He's got many books that I'd recommend, including The Black Swan, which is another one of his books, which is fantastic. But for me, it's Fooled by Randomness, which is his best piece of work. So my main takeaway from this is that how there's so many factors that we need to consider when we're making decisions that it's almost impossible to factor anything in. His whole thesis is that you cannot control everything and that luck is going to play more of a factor than you think. So when you look at all of these multimillionaire hedge fund managers or investment managers, the only difference between them being broke and them being rich is randomness and luck. And it also factors into risk tolerance as well. There's a famous saying, it's something along the lines of your risk model looks great until Godzilla turns up. And it's basically saying, look, you cannot factor in everything. The risk is just made up, it's fantasy, it's fiction. And this made me realise that, you know what, I'm not a genius. I don't know everything. So maybe I'm better just taking, like we've already discussed, a simple path to wealth. There's nothing that gives me an edge over the markets when there's billions of different factors that factor into all of the things that actually happen. You can get everything right to the T, but then one little thing way beyond your control messes everything up. And that's what this book is about. All those people in 2008 who had their risk models saying, oh, these mortgage-backed securities, they're completely fine. It's only a 3 out of 10 risk. Absolute nonsense. Everything fell apart and it cost me and you a fortune in terms of tax, and it's destroyed the economy, and it's going to happen again. And that's because people don't understand that randomness is a key factor in economics, in life, in everything. I'd recommend this book. It is brilliant. At number 2 on our list is a bit of a mouthful. It's The Almanac of Naval Ravikant. I'll be honest with you, when I first heard this title, I thought it was some superhero Marvels movie, like what's a Naval Ravikant? Turns out he's one of the best thinkers of the last 20-30 years. And an almanac is just a collection of thoughts. So if you ever see that word, now you know what it means. I had no idea until I picked this book up. Again, this is considered an absolute classic when it comes to personal development and business. So it covers everything from wealth, judgment, saving yourself, in terms of philosophy, happiness. It's just a really good, no-nonsense, no bullshit book in how to approach business, how to approach your mentality, and how to approach life. Really, really good book. Straight in at our number 2. Number 1, you all know what it is. It's got to be my man Morgan Housel with The Psychology of Money. If you're going to read one book on personal finance, it needs to be this book. Morgan Housel's got 3 books. All of them are superb. I've read all 3, but this is his best. It's his first book, I believe, and it's by far his best. It takes you through everything in such a simple way, everything from risk, luck, compounding, certain things about saving money, being reasonable, rational, making room for surprises, the fact that you'll change as you get older, so something that makes sense in your 20s and 30s might not make sense in your 40s and 50s. And he manages to juggle all these ideas in just like a simple framework. It really does need to be read. It's dead easy to read as well. It's 200 pages. I've got it in my hands right now. And I don't think there's a more valuable 200 pages in literature. This will take you from someone that doesn't really care or understand money to having a solid mental framework, how to invest, what to do with your money and what to do with your time, and how you think about money psychologically. Obviously, the book being The Psychology of Money. Enough said. Needs to be read. It's about a tenner on Amazon, and I reckon that this book will yield you thousands if you just spend a couple hours to read it. Brilliant book, and it's number 1 on our list. So there we have it, guys. 7 of my favourite books that you can read to improve your financial literacy or just generally improve as a person. We've had everything here from psychology through to kind of more deeper personal finance, through to resilience, fortitude, and then topping off with a general framework that you can apply to become wealthy and happy in your life. So leave it in the comments section. They always say if you want to get some subscribers, you need a call to action. So here it is. I want you to comment. Are there any books that I've missed off here? What are your favourite books for self-development and personal finance? Was I too harsh on Atomic Habits and Chimp Paradox? Maybe I was. Don't really care. Let me know in the comments section, guys. And thanks again for listening in. If you've made it this far, I really appreciate it. I wish you all the best on your individual journeys, and I hope you read these books, take the lessons from them, and get rich. See you on the next one.